Lady Colin Campbell is planning a tell-all book on Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. This aristocrat is promising that her new book about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry is full of plenty of revelations about the couple who recently stepped down as senior royals. This is Lady Colin Campbell. Lady Colin Campbell is famous for writing the book Diana, Princess of Wales, and that became a bestseller. She has a very interesting life. She was originally born George William Zaidi in Jamaica, and she had at birth she had a genital malformation, and so they decided that she was a boy. Now, at 21, she didn't have corrective genital surgery until 1970 when she was 21. And at 21, she legally changed her name to Georgia Ariana Zaidi. Now, she became Lady Colin Campbell by marrying Lord Colin Ivar Campbell, the youngest son of the 11th Duke of Argyll. Okay, he's a big sweater guy. She said he had the strongest personality of anyone I had ever met. He exuded strength, decisiveness, and charm. So they had known each other for 5 days, and then they got married. They split after 9 months, and it was extremely acrimonious. They divorced after 14 months, and apparently he blasted her out for her, he accused her that she had undergone a sex change. So he was very nasty to her. And it looks like she never married again, and she adopted 2 Russian boys, Misha and Dima. Why is this important? Well, Misha and Dima, her 2 children, her 2 adopted sons, star in the show The Royal World alongside Tyler Dooley. Tyler Dooley is Meghan Markle's nephew, and he runs a pot farm, and he created a new strain of pot. He owns it half and half with his mother, and he created a new strain of pot, and he named it the Markel Sparkle. Okay, so there's a strong connection for Lady Colin Campbell's book with the Markles. It looks like she's really going to get the Markle side of it. And it looks like, and I'm wondering if she's really going to dig into the Thomas Markle side of it, because that's the really contentious stuff that people, Meghan and her father, that's what people really want to know about it. And Meghan is so upset about it, so concerned about it, that she's now pushing for the August 11th release date of Finding Freedom by Omid Scobie to be pushed up because Lady Colin Campbell's book is coming out, I think, June 25th, which is quite a lot sooner. So Meghan seems really concerned about this, and it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. Good day, YouTubers. Welcome back to my channel. Time for a spot of royalty. It appears we have dueling biographies. We have Finding Freedom, the Nelson Mandela, Meghan and Harry story of how they escaped the palace to find their own way from that oppressive environment. Now we have Meghan and Harry, the real story by Lady Colin Campbell. And it appears that the Lady Colin Campbell book is maybe the palace's response to the Omid Scobie book, which in that article was called an autobiography. An autobiography is written by Meghan and Harry. Okay, it's first person, it's their story. And they directly say that it's to set the record straight. Meghan and Harry are trying to set the record straight. And this book is setting the record straight, but from the palace's point of view. So how concerned is Meghan about Lady Colin Campbell's book? Because she's pushing for an earlier publication of the Finding Freedom. Okay, Lady Colin Campbell's book is coming out June 25th, and Meghan is now pushing for an earlier release of Finding Freedom, which is due out August 11th. So this really looks like the palace's response to the Omid Scobie book. And Lady Colin Campbell, she is a serious threat because she's had a best-selling book. How concerned is Meghan? Because she would know the inside scoop. Ooh. There's a whole bunch of stuff back there. Let's take a look. Let's see. How concerned is Meghan? So, Star of Bethlehem, Crossroads, Jacob's Ladder. This is a process being carried out. We have changes and we have the direction. Changing decisions to change the direction. It's an ongoing process. It's step by step by step by step. This is just, it's a battle back and forth. This is, Meghan's putting out Finding Freedom, and the palace is putting out Meghan and Harry, the real story. And we're going to look at the connection. How closely connected are Lady Colin Campbell and the Crown? Did the Crown say, yeah, you should definitely put this out? I mean, I wonder. Okay, so it's just step by step. Conflict behind is the conflict, speaking and talking. Okay, so just putting out the information, putting out the news stream in the midst of the conflict. Outcome, incubus, succubus, city, and man. This is 14 and 13, 27 cross in the permanent relationship. Direct action in front of the whole world about the negative relationship. So what do we have underneath here? We have a whole bunch of stuff underneath. Yeah, there's just a lot of dark cards here. I think this underneath, which I'm not going to throw it down officially because that's just too many cards, but underneath we have the devil, roadblock, scapegoat, full stop, finger of God, and Mother Earth. This is kind of saying that there are some really, really damaging things that could come out. Really, really, really damaging stuff that could come out in this biography. Definitely. So this changes things. So how upset is Meghan? This really changes things. Fives are the change cards. 10, 17, 5 hearts. 5, 5, 5. This just changes everything. It changes the flow of everything. And she feels that she has to react to it. And she is concerned about it. She's not looking at it like, oh no, this is a disaster. She's looking at it like, they made a move, I need to make another move. How closely is Lady Colin Campbell working with the Crown? Because this really looks like tit for tat. Meghan's putting out, and like I said, they called it an autobiography. They called Meghan's Finding Freedom an autobiography. So it's really unclear how closely aligned, if this is an autobiography by Omid Scobie and the other lady, or if this is just a biography. And I read on it, and it looked like they took out direct quotes from Harry and Meghan. They're denying that they're having directly to do with it, but everyone kind of knows that that's their book, and that's how they're reacting. So how closely aligned, how closely is she working with the palace? Lady Colin Campbell. Palace. Oh boy. And I find Lady Colin Campbell, I find her story very inspiring. She was really given a lot of lemons in life. That would have been very confusing, being raised as a boy with a boy's name, and then she turns into a girl at 21. And she didn't do it until she's 21. Then she had a disastrous marriage that she married that guy after 5 days, but she never changed her name back. Okay, she kept his name, even though it was a completely disastrous marriage, and he was very cruel to her. I really admire her. She's really she's really pulled herself up by her bootstraps. And she didn't marry again, and obviously she wanted children, so she adopted children. She has a lot of real strength, and she's done really quite well for herself. I really admire what she's done with herself. So anyway, how closely is Lady Colin Campbell working with the monarchy? Well, here in the underneath, yes, and Trinity. Trinity is 3 in 1, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. They work perfectly together. They're like the same person. Okay, the Trinity, the personhood of God. So they are working perfectly together. Lady Colin Campbell and the Crown are absolutely in sync, 12, in this conflict, 3 spades. So over here, the Crown, Angel, they want to keep their hands clean. Oh, it's not us. Deeply rooted. We're the Crown. We're not writing this book. We're not saying this. Okay, player, they're making a play. 22 and 6, 28. Secretly, they're making this play. Secretly, the Crown is making this play. Okay, they are behind it, and player can be funding it. They can be having a monetary role, like producing it, helping to produce it secretly. Over here on Lady Colin Campbell, Hightower, this is the official narrative. Goes all the way to the top. Many hands involved to put a sweet face on it. 12 and 6, 18, 5 diamonds. Step by step. That's the Jacob's Ladder. Okay, so this is the Crown's official story, and she had access to everyone all the way to the top. Hightower. Okay, so she is really working on behalf of the Crown, and I find that's interesting. So she is a real threat. She's a previous best-selling author, and that carries a lot of weight, and here she is going to do it again, and people are really interested. I'm really interested in this book. I'm kind of interested in seeing the Omid Scobie book. I don't know why that's falling out. But I'm more interested in reading this book, the Lady Colin Campbell book. And also I follow authors. Okay, there's certain authors that I love. I'm reading Stephen King right now, The Stand. I read that, I think, in 9th grade. That was the longest book I'd ever read. I really like Stephen King's writing. Okay, I would read his laundry list. There's a lot of books that I just absolutely love by Stephen King. Ernest Hemingway is another author that I just love. And you love the author. You love the voice of the author. Okay, I'm interested to read this partly because I admire Lady Colin Campbell. I find her to be a very fascinating and show a lot of inner strength. I don't look at Omid Scobie and say, "Oh yeah, I totally want to know all about him." He's not someone that fascinates me or that I admire. And that affects things because you're listening to the author's voice. So her sons are starring in the show The Real World alongside Tyler Dooley. Okay, and he's famous for his new pot strain called the Markel Sparkle. Is Lady Colin Campbell, is she going to spill the tea? Is she really going to get the inside dirt on the Markel side of the family? Lovers. Is Lady Colin Campbell really going to get the inside scoop on the Markle side? Big change for the family, Mother Earth, and lovers. Very close association. She really got up in there with the Markles. Really closely associated with them. Really got their story. Because the Markle side of the story really needs to be told. They weren't invited to the wedding. There's a question of whether Meghan had 2 previous marriages and a child resulted from the first marriage with that guy Joe something. I have to look him up. So there's a child that may have resulted. That's a big deal. Okay, she doesn't want that to come out, and she doesn't even admit that she had a first marriage, and that marriage was probably annulled. There's various reasons for annulment. It's kind of technical. Then she was married to Trevor Engelson, she doesn't want to talk about that. She just sent the ring back in the mail. So there's a lot over here on the Markle side, and they really know everything. And it would have been a good idea for her to invite all the Markles and all the Raglins, because then they're just going to be happy that they were invited to the royal wedding. What a treat. That's once in a lifetime opportunity. So she really gets in there, and this is really going to change things for Meghan. Big change, karmic shift. What's underneath? Permanent family, cross. Sun exposing the permanent family, butterfly putting it out in the media, straight razor and broken chalice, and their broken relationships and conflict. So she's really going to tell the Markle side. Great, because we really want to know about it. That's what we really want to know about it. We don't want to hear all the same tired tropes about how wonderful Meghan is, and she's never done anything wrong, and she's a perfect little angel, and it's everybody else's fault, and how oppressive, blah, 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 de blah, de blah. And that's what we're going to hear from the Finding Freedom. So did she particularly focus, did she interview Thomas Markle extensively? Because the big deal, the reason that Meghan is, I think, largely unpopular is because of the way that she's treated her father, Thomas Markle. And also, the other big deal is how Harry is just falling apart. Everybody is seeing it. Okay, people who don't comment on the royals are like, what is happening with Harry? I mean, what's happened to this man? You've completely destroyed him. And what is he doing in Los Angeles? Okay, everybody's noticing. Okay, so those are the two things. How she's treating Harry, but how she's treating her father, who was very kind to her, very good to her, and raised her. So will Colin Campbell, will she really get into the Thomas Markle story? Will she extensively, let's see how extensively she will interview him. There's the devil. There's the no. Oh boy. There's a fox and a disaster. How deep will she get into the Thomas Markle story? Finger of God, outside events, strength, outside events affecting the foundation, and snake, deeply rooted troubles. 12, 23 plus 7, 30, 8 diamonds. 8 diamonds, cornucopia, everything material. So these deeply rooted problems, things coming from outside and affecting everything. So on the surface, we have some very serious problems, some deeply rooted issues, and events. So there's a storyline. This happened and that happened and that happened. That's the objective storyline of, so there's two narratives here. Outside events affecting Meghan and Thomas's relationship, and then the internal conflicts in the midst of that. So she's gonna tell you the story of this happened and this happened and this happened between Meghan and Thomas. Okay, he had a heart attack. There was all this texting back and forth, and that's a fascinating story. We really need to know, he was under so much stress immediately prior to the wedding that he had a heart attack. Okay, why didn't they send a plane? Why didn't they send people to protect him? There was a lot of things that could have been done for Mr. Markle, and he still could have been present at the wedding, even though he'd had a heart attack. So all that story needs to be told, and that story will be told. Underneath, cornerstone, which is foundation of everything, and the good intentions. Okay, so she's going to tell the story of what Thomas wanted to do from Thomas's perspective. How he supported her and the family and all the good intentions. And then underneath that, we have the devil, no, fox, and earthquake. Earthquake is the terrible ending. Fox is clever actions and calculation. No, and devil. Devil is just really mean and nasty, and full stop. Okay, so the nasty things that happen between them, the full stop of the relationship. He's never seen Archie. He's never gone to the palace. I don't think he's ever looked Harry in the eye and shook his hand. And he even challenged him to a duel. I mean, it's kind of silly, but Thomas Markle is saying, I would like to duel Prince Harry. That's how upset he's getting, kind of desperate in how upset he is. And how this fox is very interesting. The fox and the earthquake, how cleverly, they're very calculated. It's a calculated disaster. They're making chess moves, but look at how terrible it's turning out. So, Meghan is kind of a chess player. I very much admire the Queen's ability to analyze and think with her mind and make very wise and calculated moves. And this book is a perfect example of it. Meghan and Harry are putting out the Omid Scobie book, Finding Freedom, the Nelson Mandela story. Okay. And it's all going to be just pure sugar about how we love Meghan, and Meghan is always right, and she did nothing wrong, and everybody was really mean to her, and it's really sexist because she's a woman, and nobody knew that she was a woman, and why would a woman marry Harry? All that stuff. Okay, so the palace, it's a process. They put out their own story. So Meghan on her side is quite calculated, but the results of her calculation are just terrible. I mean, for goodness sake, just go meet with your father and make up. She doesn't even have to say the words she's sorry. She can still make excuses about what happened and it's someone else's fault. But she needs to meet with her father, and that's just really poor calculation. So let's look at this. Let's review. Is she super concerned? This is a step-by-step process. It's a chess game. Meghan made the move, Finding Freedom, and now the palace is making through, and it's both once removed. Okay, Kill with a Borrowed Sword. I think that's Sun Tzu. Always Keep Your Hands Clean. 48 Laws of Power. Okay, so the Omid Scobie book out, Finding Freedom. Meghan and Harry actually came out and denied that it was an autobiography. So it's one step removed. Now we have the Lady Colin Campbell book coming out, and the palace is not taking credit. They're keeping their hands clean. Always keep your hands clean. And whatever happens, good or bad, it's on Lady Colin Campbell, and she's happy to do it because she's going to make $1 million publishing this book. Okay, potentially. If it's a bestseller, she's going to make several million. If it's turned into a movie, she's going to make 10 times more or 20 times more. So, she's going to benefit, and she becomes famous, and the royal family is protected. They're both doing that. That's how you do it. Okay, so anybody who wants to write my autobiography, you take the hits. That's basically how it works. Okay, so she's concerned, she's upset, she's concerned, but it's not a disaster. This is just one move after another. Meghan and Harry made a move, and the Crown made a move. And nobody's freaking out. Okay, so Meghan and Harry are not freaking out. Lady Colin Campbell, how closely aligned is she with the palace? Keep your hands clean. The palace is keeping their hands clean, but this is their play. She has access to everyone all the way to the top. There's a bunch of people involved, and this is going to make the palace look good, and absolutely she's working directly, perfectly in sync with the palace, but it's, they're hiding it. Nobody's ever going to admit this. Okay, are they really going to get into the Markle side? Yes. They're really going to get into the Markle side, and this is the story that we need to hear, that needs to be told, and exposing all the things in the permanent family to the public, and all the conflicts and division. How did this happen? How is it that Meghan, is it Meghan? Is there something odd about Meghan, that she doesn't talk to her family anymore? Or did something happen? We need to know this story. And people are really fascinated by it. And then it sheds light on what's happening between Meghan and Harry. And people will, of course, make those connections. That's what we want to see. Okay, will she get into the Thomas Markle story? Yes, both the objective events and the underlying story. And, the good stuff, how he raised her and supported her and sent her to college. And then how did it turn so sour? How did it get so bad between them? So this story, the Markle side of the story and the Crown side of the story, this is what really needs to be told. And I think this is what Lady Colin Campbell is going to tell. So I'm very interested in seeing this book and reading it. I think I'll pick up a copy. That's how I see it. I'm Joseph Magi, author of Playing Card Divination, Fortune Telling, the Magi Method. Find the book worldwide on Amazon and Kindle and paperback versions. Find the full color card deck used here on Etsy/Magi Method. Many thanks to the generous folks who support me by buying me a cup of tea. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and comment.